Ever catch yourself doing something you think is totally normal, but other people find, well, a little weird? Today, we're going to dive into 6 habits that might seem strange on the surface, but could actually be big signs of a highly intelligent mind at work.
So let me ask you this. Do you ever do something that makes perfect sense to you, but you get that look from someone else? You know the one. Maybe you talk to yourself while you're working, or your desk is what we might politely call organized chaos. If that sounds familiar, trust me, you are in very good company.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Psychology is telling us that these aren't just random quirks. A lot of the time, they're actually indicators of a really powerful mind. So in this explainer, we're going to peel back the layers and look at the actual brain power behind these so-called weird habits.
Okay, first up, let's get into the mind's inner dialogue. This is all about those habits that are mostly internal but can sometimes spill out and look a little odd to the rest of the world.
So let's tackle the big one right away. Talking to yourself. We've all done it, right? And the immediate thought is, oh, that's a bit strange. But the reality? For a high IQ mind, it's actually an incredibly effective tool for thinking clearly.
You know, there's a name for this. Psychologists call it verbal reasoning. Basically, when you take those jumbled thoughts in your head and turn them into actual words, even if you're just whispering, you're forcing your brain to organize them. It helps you solve problems faster and just stay on track. It's like a cognitive shortcut to getting your thoughts in order.
So what it all boils down to is this. What looks like a weird little quirk to someone else is actually a super sophisticated way your brain keeps itself focused. It's using language to make smarter, clearer decisions. Pretty cool, right?
All right, next up, logical overthinking. From the outside, it can definitely look like someone is just stuck, unable to make a decision. But for a highly intelligent mind, it's often something else entirely. It's a deep, strategic search for the absolute best possible outcome.
And this isn't about anxiety. It's a sign of what's called cognitive complexity. It means the brain is able to juggle a huge amount of detail, thinking through all the consequences and possibilities that most people might not even see. They're not stuck. They're busy building a super detailed map of the entire situation before they make a move.
Let's switch gears and talk about focus. A high IQ mind is incredibly efficient with its mental energy, and that can lead to some habits that, yeah, look a little backwards at first glance.
You know that person whose desk looks like a Category 5 hurricane just blew through? But if you ask them for a digital file, they can find it in 3 seconds flat? That's our next habit, selective messiness. It might look chaotic, but it's often a sign of a mind that is just ruthlessly efficient and focused on what really, truly matters.
And the idea behind this is called selective organization. I mean, think about it. Why would you waste precious mental horsepower organizing things that have zero impact on your main goal? An intelligent mind just intuitively knows to pour that energy where it counts, into ideas, systems, and problems, while letting low-priority stuff like a messy desk just be.
Okay, habit number 4 is all about those short, super deep obsessions. You know the friend who becomes an expert on ancient Roman history for 2 weeks, and then suddenly they're all about quantum physics? It might look random, but it's actually their brain's curiosity system firing on all cylinders, fueled by dopamine.
It seems like for them, learning itself is the reward. When their curiosity is sparked, their brain releases dopamine, that feel-good chemical. So they're not being flaky or unfocused, they are literally feeding their mind with the buffet of information that excites them.
Now for our last section, let's get into a couple of social habits that are almost always misunderstood. This is all about being alone, without actually being lonely.
So, what about the habit of walking alone? It's so easy to see that and think, oh, they must be antisocial or that they're trying to avoid people, but the reality is often so much deeper. It's actually a way to intentionally get into a state of deep thought. And you know what? There's real science to back this up. The physical act of walking actually fires up the creative and problem-solving parts of your brain. And when you do it alone, you create this perfect, distraction-free bubble where ideas can bump into each other and new insights can just pop up. So it's not about escaping people, it's about connecting with your own thoughts.
And our final habit, a real dislike for small talk. The person who's quiet at a party might seem distant or snobby, but it's not usually about being antisocial. It's often because their brain is just hardwired to look for depth and meaning in conversations.
For a mind that loves complexity and new ideas, surface-level chatter about the weather isn't just boring, it can be genuinely draining. It's like trying to run a supercomputer on a tiny battery. So it's not about being rude, it's about saving that precious mental energy for conversations that actually light them up.
So we've looked at 6 pretty different habits. What does it all mean when you put it together? Let's find that common thread.
So we've got talking to yourself, logical overthinking, being selectively messy, having these deep obsessions, walking alone, and hating small talk. Taken one by one, sure, you could just write any of them off as a simple quirk. But when you look at them all together, a really clear pattern starts to show up. The common thread here is a mind that just naturally operates in deeper, more complex, and, believe it or not, more efficient ways. These habits aren't flaws. They're the visible signs of a very unique internal operating system.
And that kind of leaves us with one last thing to think about. I want you to consider your own weird habits. What if that one thing you've always thought was your strangest quirk is actually the key to your greatest strength?